Hey guys, it's Brandon.
It's Carrie.
We just finished a talk that we're posting about a dream Carrie had, and it led into a topic that we've been wanting to talk about, which is the three locks. You see in movies like Ready Player One, this guy goes into a virtual reality world. He looks for three keys to gain control and ownership of this virtual world, and each key is made out of a crystal. Well, I happened to notice with Carrie while we were watching it last week that each key and lock represented a certain color. The first one being red, which would be your root chakra. The second one being green, which would be your heart chakra. And then the third being blue, which would be your throat chakra. And when you start to look at it in that light, it makes you wonder about your own body and the three main points on our body, as those being the locks. The lower controls the upper in this sense. So if you and each one has its own mind, I would say. So your throat will provide the vibration. Your heart would be the frequency, and your energy would be the root. And those three need to be in alignment for you to be able to see clearly.
The upper is always fed by the lower, and so we have to start, even as infants, with the lower root power center as it starts to navigate in this world of this meat suit. And so we have to have those things to function in their uniform, if you will. But I think you brought up a good point about the various things that go on. Anyway, it goes back to division or double vision of each thing. And so where your root chakra or root power center would be a place of your drive, your passions, your basic instinct to live, survive, those types of things. That's one side of the coin, but there's also a flip side where you can have the drive to energize yourself to explore the positive things, I guess, or to bring about your own hopes and dreams and are more creative for the good part in that regard. And then that energy then, whether it be positive or negative, would feed the green, which would be the heart center. And so there's a New Testament passage that says, from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so the heart and the mouth are directly tied together. And so whatever is in our heart or in our soul, our very character and nature, is going to show forth in the words that we use, the way that we deal with people, the things we say, the energies that come out our mouth. It's been said that the power of life and death is held in the tongue. It's also been said the tongue is like an untamable member of the body. The tongue is whatever it is, and then it's wicked or something, who can tame it? Well, I think that's part of our deal here, is learning to tame our own tongue through the right side of our red and green power centers up into the blue, so that positive side, or the quote-unquote good wolf. We've told the story before of, the child asking the grandfather, or telling him that, it feels like I got two wolves fighting in me, and how do I know which one wins? And he said, the one you feed the most. Mm-hmm. And so it goes into that. When we feed the for lack of a better term, right thinking, or the positive oriented side, then we're going to benefit more from that. And then it will ultimately come out through our words, and they do have the power of life and death. I mean, proved that over and over in studies with plants, with children, all kinds of things. And so a lot of it has to do with our power that we put, with our intention, our focus. All these are the red, from the red root area. Mm-hmm. It's not just the drive to procreate and reproduce. That would be on a different... I think we're being invaded by aliens.
You guys can hear that sound in the background. Yeah, I think you're right in all ways there. I wanted to say that it was interesting that for him to find each key, he had to be given a clue. And the very first clue to the red key, the first key, was he had to go back as fast as he could, and not look forward, just
Backward.
go backwards, which leads me into the idea of Socratic questioning, tracing, going back to the root. Just go figure, it's the root. Going back and tracing back the resets or lineage or where we came from, and kind of getting answers that way, rather than always going and looking for what's going to happen next, kind of thing.
Well, I think we have the answers within us, and so as we mature, this is all part of our own maturing and honing our own insight and wisdom and discernment. And why I say wisdom and discernment is because if the information is already within us and we can't bring it to our current level of consciousness to where we're totally aware of it, it takes our looking to outside things, such as doing our research, working backward, verifying, testing absolutely everything to see if it holds up, and then it must line up with your own inner witness. Mm-hmm. And that's when we know that we're on to the right things. And so whatever it is, whether you're listening to someone, other people on the internet, or watching a program or whatever, you'll get certain, I call them checks in my spirit. And some people call it resonant. To me, resonance is just a little bit different, but it's a little check in my spirit. And that's when I know I need to either look more into that or think more deeply on it, or see what's going on within my own self. Connections, that's the right word, is making the connections from what's outside to what's inside, and then testing that for resonance. And if it doesn't match, then we kick it back out, and then we go with something else. But that's how we access our inner memory. It's not about what we remember or anything like that. It is about who we are, and that they can't take those things from us. They can block them, but they can't entirely, I don't think anyway, and this probably flies in the face of everything else we've been told, because they do copy them somehow, and then they can alter them. But I think deep within us, as lit beings, lit souls, not the plain souls. I can't speak to that. But the lit souls, for sure, I think that we have record of all of that within our own cells. And that's what they take and copy, and then that's what they use to make their construct more realistic, to even fool us, because then we think it's our creation and we did it, and that is partly true. However, with everything, it has a twist. I came up with the words here a while back that truth and error look identical, except as you are traveling down a road, error eventually will kind of veer off to the left. The left always kind of resonated in the old times with more evil. Not saying it's evil. I know for a time they killed left-handed children in Greek society, but I'm not saying that at all. I'm just using it as a gauge. And then the right was more toward the righteous. And so if we look at things that way, everything, including our power centers in our body, the red, the blue, and the green, are going to have a split side to them. So they have attached or added on this dark side or the evil side that is bound to this domain and to this suit that we inhabit for the time being. And so our task is to cut off from what the false program or the error. It's not that it's false or doesn't exist, it does. But it's error. It's recapitulated in such a way that it seems real to us or feels real, but it is not real. And so we get a degree of resonance, and then we kind of get little glitches in our own system, like, that didn't sound right, and that's when we listen to different people, and you're striking along there pretty good, and then all of a sudden they say something, and you're like, whoa, the brakes just came out, so
yeah, for real.
I can't go there with that, person like that. So, it's got to match. We've got to practice matching what's on the outside with on the inside, and not try to rescue, save, or change what's on the outside or the left, what is left over, that they have attached to us to distract us from our right side, the one that is still quote unquote righteous, for lack of a better term. It's all so deliberate. So then we have to be deliberate and aware. To me, that's what awareness is going the next step to being deliberate, to deliberate. So we were deliberated. In other words, we were held captive. So now we become liberate. So maybe we can come up with another word for that. I don't know. Deliberate, or is it a deliberate? Deliberate?
Unilever? Like Unilever?
Yeah, it could be. So anyway, that's just a few thoughts.
We would really like some feedback from the comments and some of the listeners on to furthering the discussion on how to unlock and maintain these 3 locks that are within us, be it samadhi, be it meditation, be it sitting in stillness. Something I wanted to add, it's just synchronicities. I have an Android phone, and on the bottom of my Android phone there's like a toolbar, and on that toolbar there's 3 icons. Well, the one on the left is a triangle facing left, as in going back. So if I'm in an application, I push that, it takes me back a screen. The second one, the middle one, is a circle. It just happens to be the button that takes you home. Home is where the heart is. And then the third one, which would, again, it'd be the throat and the head, is a square. And that opens up all the windows so you can clean out all the junk that you've been playing with, games and apps and songs and all that stuff. And you can clear that out. And that makes me thinking outside of the box. So in those 3 centers, it's just another way that it shows us, if we have the eyes to see, that these 3 centers are vital to us. And a good friend of mine, Anne-Marie, talks about the Merkaba, the atom, and the tesseract, or the box that she sees on the light bodies as she does the kind of journeying she does. And it just more validates what Carrie and I are trying to say here, is this is all connected, and those 3 centers are very important. You know, not to overeat like I do, but to always focus on the heart and think outside of the box that they want us to be in.
Well, that's absolutely right. And so even to take it a step further, we had kind of contemplated that maybe the 3 centers that we're talking about right now, what if those were in these original bodies, and then with the last makeover or reset or whatever, they added, really it amounts to one in between each of those, right?
Yes.
And then adding the crown. And so the crown to me adds a whole nother level, and so it gives us the concept of the choice. And of course they want us to pick from their 2 choices, which is red or blue, or good or evil. But I think there's a third choice, and that is I'll hang on to my own damn crown, and I will never throw it at the feet of anybody, anywhere, anytime. It ain't coming off my head. I will cock it to one side, and we will call it good, but not taking my crown.
That's I may have told some of the people this already, and I'm pretty sure I've told Carrie, but when I did mushrooms, one of the couple times I did, I literally did I could see like a warp drive that I was shooting through, and I came to this golden crown, and it looked like a ring made of plasma and electricity, which is why the icon for the channel is that golden crown, if you will. And at that time, I talked to somebody that called themselves the Lord, and they were basically trying to get me to cast my crown, give away my power unto them, so that they would be in control. And I had the wherewithal to say, this is creepy, this is weird, no thank you. And I didn't really connect that until a couple weeks ago when we were talking about casting your crown before the feet of somebody else. That's what they want you to do. That's selling your soul. That's giving up the rights and ownership and giving permission and consent to them manipulating you and using you for their own system.
Yeah, they give you their crown in exchange for your real one. They give you
that's the gold.
Their fake one, yeah. Or it's a real crown, but it's their crown, and so they can then parade you around like they do with all the actors and musicians that we own this one.
Puppet masters.
We took it out of the quote unquote church.
Lord of the Rings.
They surrendered their crown, so now they're ours.
Exactly. All right, guys, this has been a good one. We're going to continue on. We got another one coming up called The Connection. Everybody's going to want us to talk about that, so we're going to jump into that next.